Okay, so moving on from our last video on the inverse demand function, we wrote the inverse demand as follows. So PQ is equal to alpha minus Q if Q less than or equal to alpha, and 0 if Q is greater than or equal to greater than alpha. Now in a duopoly, capital Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2, where Q1 is the output produced by firm 1 and Q2 is the output produced by firm 2. So in the case of a duopoly, we can rewrite our inverse demand function as follows. And this would be alpha minus Q1 minus Q2 if Q1 plus Q2 less than or equal to alpha, and 0 if Q1 plus Q2 is greater than alpha. Okay. So having discussed that, note that if pi I is the profit of firm I, where I is equal to 1, 2, because there are two firms in the industry. So pi I is given by, irrespective of industry, pi I is given by total revenue, total minus total cost. Now if PQ is the price in the market that depends upon the total output Q, then for a firm I that produces output QI, total revenue is going to be QI minus PQ, and total cost is going to be given by a function, a cost function, CIQI. Okay, now in the notes we had discussed, or we had assumed that small c is the common constant marginal cost. Okay, so this is the cost that is faced by firm 1, this is the cost that is faced by firm 2, and it's a constant marginal cost. And it's a constant marginal cost, it means that it's a constant average cost too, right? So it's a constant average cost too. Now since it is average cost too, that means in the specific example that we discussed, your profit would be given by QI PQ minus CQI. This would be your total cost of producing output QI, right? Now note that the total cost function involves a term PQ, and PQ, as we had discussed before, right, is a piecewise function. Okay, it's a piecewise function, that is, for certain values it has different forms. Okay, for certain values of Q it has different forms. So since PQ is a piecewise function, the profit function PI incorporating PQ will also be a piecewise function. So how will we write this? So if firm I is producing quantity QI, then if Q1 plus Q2, or the total quantity produced in the duopoly, is less than alpha, then PQ is given by alpha minus Q1 minus Q2, and total cost is CQI. So this is your profit when Q1 plus Q2 is less than or equal to alpha. Now when Q1 plus Q2, or the total output produced in the industry is in the duopoly is greater than alpha, then if QI is the output produced, this would be multiplied by 0, because PQ is 0 for Q1 plus Q2 greater than alpha, and minus total cost. So your profit would be a negative minus CQI. So we could just do one more thing. One last step would be to see that the QI term can be taken common, right? So if we just do this one last step, we can write our profit function as Qi minus alpha minus C minus Q1 minus Q2 if Q1 plus Q2 less than or equal to alpha, and minus CQi if Q1 plus Q2 greater than alpha. Okay, so this is how the profit function is going to look like, and it's piecewise because it incorporates another piecewise function, that is the inverse demand function, which gives the market price for a given total quantity of output produced in the duopoly.